This week I'm doing a book review, and this week it's on Innocent Smoothies. You all know Innocent Smoothies, definitely if you're from the UK you'll know about Innocent Smoothies. Started by three university friends, and the story goes that they got on really well at university. They organised student nights out at university, and one day they decided we need to start a business, these three lads. When deciding on what they wanted to do, the common problem that they all had was they all worked in London, they worked long hours, and that was followed by late nights, and they said that their diets consisted more and more of just pizza and beers, so they were really unhealthy. So they wanted to solve that problem. They wanted to bring something healthy to the market, and they decided what we need to do, we need to create smoothies. The Innocent Smoothie 5-point business plan of how to come up with a business idea and start executing it. What they say is you need to follow the need. So in this case, it's the need for people to be healthy and have fresh fruit, one of their 5 a day. It's to know your audience, understand your target audience, which will be easier if it's you or your peers. So these students just left university, they were struggling to find the time or the fresh fruit to eat. So that's fulfilling that need, and they are their own target audience. Think better, not different. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, just make a better one. There were already smoothies around at the time that these guys started. They just made them slightly different, cooler branding, and then got cracking on that. Remember the granny test. If you can't explain it to your granny, don't describe. They say that you've got to describe the business idea to your granny, and if she doesn't understand it, it's not very good. It's just a method of keeping things simple. Number 5, keep the main thing the main thing. Identify your main thing and stick to it. Make every decision based on whether it gets you closer to your goal. I did a book review of a book called The One Thing, which I think was the last one I reviewed. A fantastic book, and it's basically just saying you've got to just choose one thing that your business can do better than anyone else, and just double down on that, focus on that. As I mentioned, one of the things I love when reading books like this is how the business started. We all think of Innocent Smoothies now as being some giant drinks manufacturer who are distributed everywhere, really popular. Happy days, it's easy, they were always big, but actually, you know, that every business has to start somewhere. So it's nice and reassuring to see that Innocent Smoothie, just like any other place, had a real humble start. And their advice to everyone is simply don't be afraid to start small. Just start really small and just start. There's nothing like taking one small step to help you get over the initial fear when creating your own venture. They say a great quote here: momentum comes from the pitter-patter of baby steps. So these guys, all they did to start was they went to a music festival and they handmade a few smoothies, put them in some ice buckets, went to this music festival, and they put a big sign up. So this was just in their spare time. They put a big sign up saying, should we give up our jobs to make these smoothies? And in one bucket they had a sticker saying yes, and in another bucket they had a sticker saying no. And people would drink the smoothies that they were serving them, and they'd chuck their empty cups or bottles into whichever bin they thought. And by the end of the day, the yes bin was full, so their customers enjoyed their smoothies, and they felt that the three lads should give up their day jobs and make smoothies full time. Now these three lads, they didn't just want to leave it there and just forever give out samples or go to music festivals to flog their smoothies. They did want a serious business. That was always the goal, to grow their business and expand and have their products sold in all the shops. But they didn't know how to reach that. So it was just all about starting really small and just seeing what happens and figuring it out from there. Their next move after that was to simply make up some strawberry and banana smoothies, pop them into bottles. This says here they made up some labels and they called their drinks brand Fresh and Fruity. They stuck the labels onto the bottles with sellotape and just headed out into London around delis and cafes and shops with boxes of these smoothies, just trying to flog them. And to their surprise, people were in many cases willing to hand over cash and buy these smoothies. So they just didn't waste time making the product perfect. They just made a quick product, stuck the label on with sellotape, and just got it out there. One of the main bits of advice that I can take from this book, and what they bang on about consistently, is that in the early days at the start they were so strapped for cash that some of them kept their jobs They kept their full-time jobs, and then even as the business was growing, they'd keep their part-time job just to keep some money coming in. And one of the things the guys say is that whatever business you're doing, it's always going to take longer period of time to create the momentum and the growth than you think it's going to. You think it's going to be, you're going to be making a decent income over the course of 12 months. They say times that by 3. That's how long it'll take before you can really rely on your business to bring you the amount of money that you need to live off. Coming halfway through the book, the guys are selling more and more of these smoothies. They know that there's a good business concept there, but what they do need to do now desperately in order to expand is they need to raise money. And that means going to banks and rich individuals and VC firms. And as you can guess, this is where the guys face a huge amount of rejection. As they put it here, they had been rejected by the government, every bank in the country, every VC firm in London, and by the very community of people that actively say they want to invest in startup businesses. So were getting just rejected by everyone. They pitched their business idea, it was just one massive no. Which is weird to think. You think of how popular and how massive Innocent Smoothie, a big company like Innocent Smoothie, a fantastic business idea back then in the 90s, you know, healthy blended fruit. Why were they facing so much rejection? So it's reassuring to know even Innocent Smoothie faced a huge amount of rejection, but they didn't stop. Actually, they were on their last resort. They didn't know what to do. They just sent out an email to everyone in their email address book. Any email they could get their hands on, they were just spamming anyone they could. And in the subject line of the email, it said, "Does anyone know anyone rich?" And at this last throw of the dice, they eventually got hold of someone, a rich individual, who got the email, did some due diligence, and actually invested in them. So it just shows you the persistence that these lads had at the very last. They'd faced so much rejection, but they still sent all of these emails out, and they eventually found someone who'd believe in them and who'd back them. Back in the day, Innocent were one of the first employers to do all this wacky sort of employee fun days, bean bags in the office, open plan office, yoga in your office, you know, free meals, all these employee perks. They were one of the first companies to be out there and say, you know, we're going to do things differently. You know, we'll have all this mad, crazy stuff going on in the office. It won't be a conventional office. We want to get the best out of our people, and we're going to offer them loads of perks. Interestingly enough, they found that as they were expanding and as they were taking on more and more staff, they actually had a 100% retention rate of their employees. And more interesting than that, they found that that actually wasn't a good thing. And it actually was not very healthy to be just keeping everyone. And there should be a natural sort of cull of people who aren't quite performing to the standard. It shouldn't be a 100% retention rate. As they say here, a healthy business will always see some people move on. Either there will be some individuals struggling to meet the demands of their job, or they'll have skills different from those required in their role. In situations like this, it's essential that the individual is told transparently about what needs to improve, and they should be given the opportunity and support to close this gap. If they don't get there, then it's in everyone's best interest for them to move on. As anyone who knows Innocent will know straight away about them, is that it's fantastic branding. And back in the early days, what these guys didn't want to do was spend a heap of money on marketing or branding or anything. So they had to do it on the cheap. They had to communicate at every possible opportunity. They had to try and get themselves in the papers. But really, when they talk about, you know, not splashing the cash on fancy adverts and stuff, when you want to do it on the cheap, they say focus on the product, make it all about the product, make a great product, use great packaging, and use where that product is sold as a means of sort of branding, whether it's premium, whether it's sort of hipster, cool, where's it going to be sold, what's the product look like. And they also talk about giving their product away for free. They did a lot of samples in the early days, giving it away for free, still a fantastic way of getting the brand out there and making people aware of it. Fantastic little story they've got in this book. It's not about Innocent Smoothie, but when they're talking about marketing and how you've got to give stuff away for free sometimes to get the message out there, I didn't know this, but Wrigleys Gum, back in 1915, he sent 4 free sticks of gum to every single person listed in the phone books of America. I don't know how much that must have cost him, but as a result, he captured 50% of the American gum market overnight. What an amazing story of how to just get it out there. And I suppose Wrigley's Gum is nice and small and flat. You can pop that in an envelope and post it. What a brilliant way to reach out to people and make them aware of your product. I'm going to finish this book review off with my favourite quote of the book. It's inside a chapter which talks about the whole sort of ethical side of Innocent Smoothies and what they do for charity and their sustainability and all the rest of it. And this is a great quote. It's by a guy called Michael Lee Porter. He says, "If after achieving its financial aims, a business focuses the resources it has at its disposal, it can have a greater impact on social good than any other institution or philanthropic organisation." What a great thought. What a great thought that a business can, as it grows and prospers, just having an increasingly positive impact on the world as a whole, whether it's increasing recycling, health, as Innocent Smoothies increases the health of the population, increases communication, whatever. It's a great thought to have a business that's both making money, but also as it's making more and more money, it's having more and more of a positive impact on the world. Great book. I enjoyed reading this book. It was really reassuring to see that even a massive company like Innocent Smoothies still had really humble beginnings, and what I'll take away from it is that the founders just really weren't afraid to just really start small. Problem that had to be solved, made some minimum viable products and just got it out there, and then just started getting better and better and better and solving more and more problems and just working it out.